up, vibers? It's your girl, Jamie. If you're new here, this is Amazing Vibes. And on this channel, we talk about inspiration, beauty, and lifestyle. Today is part 4 of my weight loss series. And today we're going to be talking about food addiction. Food addiction is so real, y'all. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. If you've never dealt with it, God knows I have. It is no joke, nothing to play with. It is to be taken very seriously and not shunned. And I just want to talk to y'all for a few minutes. When it comes to Black women, no matter how they look, no matter the size or shape of their body, but especially the ones that have weight on them, we are always shunned, disrespected, and disregarded because we're seen as less than, the bottom of the totem pole, the scum of the earth, if you will. But I have created a compilation of TikToks that have included people of other races and other genders, and I've even included a doctor to let y'all know that what I'm saying in my experience is so real, just like many other people's experience. No matter their race, no matter their gender, if they have weight on them and they have been dealing with a food addiction, it is real. It is real. It's like Justin Bieber says, it's not clocking to y'all that what we're saying is true. It's not clocking to y'all that we know what we're talking about. It's not clocking to y'all that we're not capping when we're trying to tell y'all that food addiction is a very real thing, just like a sex addiction, just like a drug addiction. But y'all disregard what we say because of how we look. And that's some of y'all's issue. Y'all focus on looks. And so you throw the baby out with the bathwater. And that's how a lot of y'all keep getting duped and bamboozled. So anyway, I don't want to get too much into that part. Go ahead and watch these videos and stay tuned to the end, and I'll give my commentary when I come back.
I trust in you, I trust in you, you're so my pride.
Parking lot because the kids at the Sonic make fun of you every
The way I ran to the comments, and unfortunately they were exactly what I expected. And it's real obvious that a lot of people in that comment section have never dealt with binge eating and never dealt with food addiction, because so many comments were saying, well, just don't eat the ice cream. It's okay to not go to Sonic then. I don't know, I feel like 2 kids making fun of me would be my breaking point and I would stop going. And y'all, do you really think that it's that easy? That it's that easy. That it's never crossed her mind, or someone like me who used to be fully addicted to fast food and had those same kind of experiences. Do you really think it's never crossed our minds to just not go through the drive-thru or to just not eat the ice cream? Because I can promise you, it has. But here's the thing. Food addiction is not something that you can just quit cold turkey. Because unlike other kinds of addiction, you need food to live. And BED is the most commonly diagnosed ED out there. Once you get that compulsion to go and eat, you can't just flip it off. It's not a switch. I remember pulling through the drive-thrus day after day and crossing my fingers that someone new was going to be working or someone different than the day before would be there. And I remember the first time I ever pulled up to the Taco Bell drive-thru and I didn't even have to start my order. They just already knew it. They said, Amber, pull around. And the shame and the guilt that washed over me was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. I was so embarrassed. And trust me, the thought of why can't I just not go? Why can't I just not go through the drive-thru? Why can't I just eat something else? Why can't I just have a normal relationship with food like everybody else? So I sat in the parking lot of my job at the time, bawled my eyes out, ate my food, and guess what? I went back the next day, because it's not just something that you can snap out of. It's a full-blown addiction, full-blown disorder. But maybe, just maybe, we have a little bit more empathy.
Most people don't realize this, but the reasons most people struggle with food and being overweight, we make food the best part of our day. Think about it. We wake up thinking about what we finna eat. We planning our lunch like it's a vacation. And then when we get off work, the one thing we looking forward to is dinner. Food become entertainment, comfort, a stress relief. That's when it got you. That's when it actually turned into an addiction. Here's the truth. Nobody ever told you that food wasn't supposed to be the biggest highlight of your life. It's fuel. It's supposed to help you live your life, but not be your entire life. You build your day off of no joy, no purpose, no hobbies, no challenges, nor no growth. Food becomes the only dopamine you have left to give your energy to. And that's when you get stuck, and that's when it starts to take over. The moment you make your life a little bit more meaningful, the less food can control you. Go for a walk, work on a goal, call somebody you love so that you can push that energy and dopamine somewhere else. You're not addicted to food. You're addicted to the feeling that you're missing, that you're not getting from somewhere else.
So I used to be a food addict. I did. Like, I had a real food addiction. Now, I wasn't diagnosed by a mental health professional, but based on what I was doing in my life, I definitely was a food addict. Like, I would wake up in the morning and the first thought on my mind would be, what am I going to eat today? I would get my first meal and I would be thinking about my next meal. I would even get my next meal after I had my first meal just because I wanted to eat something. I wanted that taste. I wanted that flavor. And me eating gave me a dopamine release. Like, some people, their vice is alcohol. Some people are alcoholics and they're never going to call themselves an alcoholic. Some people are actual drug addicts and they're never going to call themselves a drug addict. And some people are sex addicts, but they're never going to call themselves sex addicts. Now me, I'm living in my truth. I was a food addict, but I found out a way to battle that addiction, which is really hard because many other vices, you don't have to partake in those activities to make it through life. Like, you don't have to drink alcohol to go through life. You don't have to do drugs to go through life. And if we're being honest, you don't have to have sex to go through life either. But you do have to eat to go through life. So it was really hard to get a hold of this food addiction. Like, I used to be in class just praying to God, like, God, please let me stop being hungry. And it's funny looking back at it now because I actually was able to make it past that. But in the moment, nothing was funny. I cannot figure this out. I cannot figure out how to stop eating. And the thing is, I started college at like 140 something pounds, and I'm going to insert a picture maybe somewhere if I still have a picture. And then probably a year after college, I was 240 something pounds. So I had gained 100 pounds throughout 5 years. And even though I was still working out, I just could not figure out how I could not get a hold of my weight, get a hold of my eating habits. And it was because I was addicted to food. Like, a lot of people have food addictions. The people that you see on my 600 pound life, they aren't that size just because they're fat and lazy. These people have a real problem. And if I would not have gotten a hold of myself and stopped being out of hand, I could have easily ballooned to 600 pounds. I'm so serious. Not even exaggerating when I say that. Like, I was really far gone, as D'Angelo would say, out of hand. So I really had to reel myself in and be like, okay, girl, if you keep going in the direction that you're going to end up on my 600 pound life. And I didn't want that to happen, obviously. And now, you know, I'm a little slim. And I'm just really happy that I was able to move past that addiction. And a lot of people are not being honest with themselves. A lot of people do have food addictions, but we often don't look at it as an addiction because we don't look at food consumption as a problem. But that is a really big problem for, I'm not even gonna say Black community, this is America in general. We all eating too much. But I just want to share that little bit of tidbit of information because I am on this fitness journey, and it's like, I like how I look. I feel like I look pretty good. But I can relate to those that may be starting out their fitness journeys or may feel uncomfortable in their bodies because at one point that was me too.
You can't go sober from food. Food addiction is one of the most debilitating addictions to exist because you can't go sober from food. I am a recovering food addict. I have been in recovery for the last 18 months and I coach other women how to recover from food addiction. Food addiction is exactly the same as being an alcoholic, and the minute you start to understand that, the minute you can start to give yourself help. There doesn't exist Food Addictions Anonymous. There doesn't exist groups, support groups to help people with food addiction. And food addiction is one of the most debilitating addictions to exist because you can't go sober from food. You have to eat food to survive. Whereas with alcohol, you can live without it. Now, there exist people like me who will help you overcome it. The principle of going to a buffet when you have a food addiction is mind-boggling to me. All you can eat, buffets, all inclusives, they are places where I do not feel safe. I am now far into the progress of my journey, and I am able to go to these places still feeling uncomfortable, but I am able to control myself, and parts of me still sometimes feels out of control, but I am able to do this. Very rarely go to these places because friends and family around me want to go to them, and that is okay. However, for 1 year of my recovery journey, I did not go to a buffet or an all-inclusive or anywhere there was free unlimited food, especially if it was free food. So for example, if my work had put on a free spread of food, I would bring my own packed lunch, or I would leave the after work curriculum activity that we had planned. And that may sound really horrible to you guys, but why would I, as if I was a recovering alcoholic, be expected to go to a bar? I wouldn't. So why are we expecting food addicts to be around food when you know that they're going to relapse and eat all of the food that's in front of them because it's too much temptation? When I had food in front of me, it didn't matter what the food was. When you have food addiction, you will literally eat food that you don't even like because you are addicted to food. That is what was happening to me. And that is the most isolating, confusing thoughts. Like, I remember, I hate lemon cake, okay? I hate lemon flavored anything unless it's maybe lemon water. I like lemon water, but lemon flavored biscuits or cakes, ew. The peak of my food addiction, I ate a massive slice of lemon cake and it was disgusting, but I just needed something to eat. That is like how alcoholics will drink. I mean, it's an extreme example, but they will literally drink hand sanitizer, and that is not an exaggeration because they need alcohol. Like, that is the same mindset as food addiction than it is being addicted to a substance or alcohol. And I think putting yourself in difficult situations is just nasty to yourself, and people around you should be more understanding, and you should be more understanding if you do have a food addiction on how to actually not put yourself in stressful situations that could make it worse and breed temptation.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I used to weigh almost 400 pounds, and I would eat fast food every day, and I want to tell you how I quit that habit. Make no mistake, I was severely addicted to fast food. It would make me physically ill trying to quit it. And I tried many times over the years. I would try to quit it cold turkey, and I was never successful. This is how I was finally successful in beating my fast food addiction. First of all, I allowed myself the grace to do it slowly. Let me tell you typically what I would get. I would get 2 double cheeseburgers, a large fry and a small fry, a large Coke and a small Coke, and then maybe like a pie. I was seeing a nutritionist at the time, and she said, stop trying to do it cold turkey. Slowly do this. So still get fast food every day, but instead of getting 2 double cheeseburgers, get 1. Instead of getting a large fry and a small fry, just get a large fry. Instead of getting 2 drinks, get 1 drink. Do that for a while. And then we started making the meals even smaller, or we started changing little things like instead of a regular burger, get a chicken patty. Instead of a large fry, maybe get a small fry and some apple slices. And then I started going, okay, let me try to make this at home. Let me see if I can make this at home and make it even healthier. This was after months. And I started regularly making turkey burgers with French fries. And eventually I made turkey burgers with lettuce wraps and sweet potato fries. And that's not to say that I never eat fast food anymore. I do. I have a McDonald's French fry tattooed on my body. You can't take McDonald's French fries from me. But have I learned that there is a time and a place for that kind of thing in my diet, and that it can't be every day, 3 times a day? Yeah. Some people, the cold turkey method works for. It never worked for me. I tried it many times. So if you're somebody that has tried it many times and never been successful, try this. Try it. Give yourself the grace to do it slowly and see where you get.
Okay, so as a retired Taco Beller, I didn't work there or anything. I just was obsessed with eating Taco Bell. I can tell you that when you stop consuming fast food, you literally don't crave it at all. And you're actually disgusted by it. Even now, if I'm traveling and I have to eat out and it's something like Chipotle, I can tell the difference in eating that versus the food I eat at home and how inflammatory whatever they do behind the scenes. I know it seems like it's healthy. It's just like a bowl and rice. No, whatever they do behind the scenes and how they cook their food or what they cook their food in or the quality of the proteins that they use, something is not right because I feel so inflamed after eating that. And I literally only eat that like once or twice a year at this point. Disgusting. Anyway, that's a story for another day. This is actually not a Chipotle slander video. I just want to talk about why you're obsessed with eating fast food, and it actually has nothing to do with the fact that you have no discipline and willpower. It does have to do with the fact that you don't have a proper plan in place, but that you can work on. If you didn't know, you know now, so consider yourself in the know. Flavor chemists work behind the scenes on your favorite fast food restaurant, on your favorite candy, on your favorite sweet, on just all junk food. They work behind the scenes to make it the perfect combination of sugar, carbs, fats, so that when it hits your taste buds have receptors that go straight to your brain, and we get that big high. It's like that big dopamine serotonin hit where it's like, oh my God, so good. Yeah, and you get that high and you always want more and more and more to continue getting that high, similarly to a drug. I don't really like to compare drugs to food because kind of different, but how our brain responds to the stimulus and the chemical response that's going on in the body from drugs and from ultra processed foods and candy and junk food, kind of similar. So your body continuously wants more and more and more, and that's when we enter the addiction. People are addicted to fast food. People are addicted to drugs. There is something that goes on physiologically in the body from both substances. So to stop doing it, we have to expose ourselves less. The less that you expose yourself to ultra processed fast foods and candy and sweets and high amounts of sugar, your taste buds start to change and they revert back to how they originally were when you weren't consuming those things. This is tricky for you if you've been consuming these types of foods your whole life. A lot of people, this started in childhood and their parents were not strict on what they were eating. That's when the food addiction can start. But again, this is not a willpower discipline thing. This is the simple fact that your body is on overdrive craving these items because you're exposing yourself to them so much. So when you slowly start to take back, you slowly start to crave less. For example, I haven't had fast food in years and I literally never think about it. You will not catch me in a drive-thru ever. But what you have to do to be successful at that is better planning. You have to prep your foods at home. And I know whenever people hear meal prep, they roll their eyes and they're like, it's never going to work for me. I don't think meal prepping is for everybody, but every single person can ingredients prep. A few years back when I was like just starting my fitness journey, maybe like 7, 8, 9 at this point, years ago, I would do meal preps of like chicken, broccoli every single day. You know how disgusting chicken and broccoli is when you eat it 5 days a week? The same chicken and it's disgusting. Then I ended up just going down to whatever's down the street, Taco Bell, and getting a burrito because I was so disgusted. Now what I do instead is I prep ingredients. Maybe that's on the weekend, maybe it's on a Monday, depends on your schedule, okay? You can make this work for you. Prep your ingredients. You're gonna always prep your veggies. So you're gonna have at least 2 different vegetables you're cooking. You're gonna have at least 2 different carbs, whether that's rice and potatoes, whatever that looks like. You're going to have at least 2 different proteins. You don't have to cook everything on that day, but you're going to prep them. That means washing, cutting, seasoning, putting them in containers, having them ready. You're also going to prep your snacks. That's when you're going to wash your fruit, when you're going to cut it up, when you're going to cut up your veggies that you want to eat as snacks, when you're going to make sure you have string cheese, whatever it is. You're going to prep your snacks. You're going to prep ingredients. This doesn't take that long. Then on the day of, you can grab and go when it comes to snacks because I know you're busy. And then the day of, for dinner time, you can just cook the ingredients that are already prepped. This will take you like 20 minutes and you're going to make yourself enough for lunch the next day. So you're always going to be good for dinner because you're going to make it. And then the next day you're going to have enough for lunch. And then we repeat this cycle. So every day you're not spending more than 20 minutes on cooking. And you also don't look in your fridge and say, I have nothing. I have to go down the street to Mickey D's. Because these flavor chemists don't give a crap about you, a crap about your health. And we know that America is full of the sickest population of people, and fast food and eating a lot of convenience items has a lot to do with that and the inflammation that it causes.
This was me for 10 years of my life when I was struggling with a very aggressive binge eating disorder. And after a decade of dealing with it, I thought that was going to be my life forever. And I had been overwhelmed with comments and DMs about this. So I thought, instead of me just telling you, I'm actually going to call my doctor, who after 10 years is the only person that has ever been able to help me. Hello.
Hi Amber, thank you for having me today.
Why do so many people with ADHD struggle with binge eating?
This is such an important question, and to answer it, we first need to understand the biology behind an ADHD brain. So people with ADHD have an underactive dopamine system. The brain is constantly searching for stimulation. Food, especially palatable food, is one of the fastest ways to spike dopamine. So when someone with ADHD is stressed, bored, or emotionally overwhelmed, their brain reaches out for food. There's also the impulsivity piece. When someone with ADHD has a sudden urge to eat food, the brake system that would normally slow that down isn't as effective. On top of that, there's emotional dysregulation, which is one of the most under-talked features of ADHD.
So why can being diagnosed with ADHD help so much, and what can medication actually do to help binge eating?
The diagnosis itself is therapeutic, and I see this in my clinic all the time. When someone has spent years being told their binge eating is about willpower or bad habits, and they finally understand it's been their brain seeking dopamine all this time, that reframe removes the shame. And shame is one of the biggest drivers for binge cycle. Medication can have very positive impact on binge eating. Stimulant medications increase dopamine availability, which means the brain isn't constantly searching for dopamine anymore. I want to be clear that medication isn't the whole answer, and it doesn't work the same way for everyone.
And this one I think is the most important, because this is the first thing that you told me, is that medication is only part of the journey. I think so many people think medication is the quick fix.
Absolutely. And medication is one part of the treatment plan. This is the way I approach it. The first thing I always talk about is protein and blood sugar stability. The second thing is the structured eating times. The third thing is addressing the emotional dysregulation. Exercise is a natural tool for improving emotional dysregulation in ADHD. I have also seen patients benefit from dialectic behavior therapy. And finally, getting good sleep. Poor sleep drives hunger hormones up, drops impulse control, and for someone with ADHD, that combination is a perfect storm.
Like I said, you have changed my life, and I never thought this would be possible.
I've really enjoyed our discussion. For anyone listening, if you think ADHD may be affecting you or someone you care about, consider speaking with a qualified healthcare professional. Thanks again for having me.
All right, y'all, so I'm back. So I just wanted to talk to you real quick about food addiction. And I also want to give you some tips and tricks that I have used, or that other people also have used, that may help you break this cycle. Again, food addiction is just as real as any other addiction. But people who have food addiction do not get any type of sympathy. Food addiction is an addiction, just like a sex addiction is, and just like a drug addiction is. And they are all choices. It's not just, oh, the people that have a food addiction is just making a bad choice and, it's just a choice, just choose better. You can say the same thing about people who are having sex with multiple different partners. And you can say the same thing about people who are doing drugs. They are all choices. It's not just the people that are eating wrong that are making the wrong choice. So I don't understand why the compassion is only given to the other two, but it's not given to people with food addiction. As a matter of fact, people with food addiction should have more compassion, because like the people said in the video, you have to have food to eat to survive. You don't have to have sex or do drugs in order to survive. You can go the rest of your life without those two, but you cannot go the rest of your life without eating food. It is a very hard thing to overcome, but just because it's hard does not make it impossible. So I want to give you some tips and tricks that may help you be able to overcome this cycle. Number 1, don't make it an idol. Food has become an idol in so many different people's lives. I know it has been in mine, because I have been an emotional eater ever since I was a child. And I'm not blaming anybody in my family, because I'm a grown woman and I know that I could have stopped this a long time ago. But I think as babies, we are trained when we're crying, when we're hungry or hurt or whatever, the first thing your caretakers do is shove a bottle in your face. So that trains the brain to say, hey, if I'm feeling stressed or I'm feeling sad or I'm feeling angry, there is a substance that I can put in my mouth and I can put in my body that can change the trajectory of those feelings and make me feel a whole lot better. So we're trained at birth, a lot of us, to use food and drinks as coping mechanisms. And that's how the addiction starts. And it becomes an idol, because an idol is anything that you put above God, period. Like, that is exactly what it is. And so instead of running to food and running to sweet, sugary drinks and candy and all these other things, we need to run to God. We need to open up our word. We need to pray to the Lord to help us, seek his face, and he will come through for us if we have the faith. We should be running to God with our problems and not to food. When you eat and drink away those problems, it's just a temporary fix. It's just a Band-Aid that you're putting over the wound. But the wound is actually not healing, because we're trying to run after dopamine hits to fix the problem instead of going to God and asking him to help you get to the root of the problem. And the only thing that's going to come out of it is just weight loss and falling deeper and deeper into the cycle. There are other healthy ways, along with God, that you can do to relieve stress and calm your anger, which brings me to number 2. Instead of running to food in order to cope with your stress and your anger and your frustration, start working out. Start working out. Working out is a major stress reliever because it releases endorphins, which are the feel-good chemicals that will help you feel so much better. I used to do this, a little while ago, and I'm just starting to get back into it. And I did it the other day. I forgot what I was upset about, but I just started working out. I just started doing push-outs on the wall. Push-outs, I can't do push-ups. So what I do is I just stand against the wall, like say this is the wall here, and then I just put my hands against the wall and I get close to it, and then I just push out. So it's kind of like a stand-up push-up against the wall, being parallel to the wall. I hope that makes sense for y'all. And just after a few minutes of doing that, I felt a whole lot better. And then I have like some 2-pound weights, and I started working with the weights as well. Started doing some lunges and things like that. And I started feeling so good that I forgot what I was even upset about. You really can become addicted to anything. Anything you keep giving yourself over and over and over again, you're increasing the risk of being addicted to it. I'm not saying everybody, but some people are more prone to addictions than others. So if you're going to end up being addicted to anything, let it be something that's going to help you, like exercise, than hurt you. And even with that, you have to be very, very, very careful not to even get really crazy addicted to exercise as well. But me personally, I'd rather be addicted to exercise than bad junk food, sex, or drugs. And I'm not trying to shame anybody that's addicted to those other things. Addiction in itself is very real. It's like a monster. It just consumes you. And I honestly feel like it's more of a spiritual thing. So of course, when we're being trained when we're younger to run to food, of course that doesn't affect everybody. And I'm not saying that it does, but I feel personally it's a huge contributing factor, especially in my life. And even when I was younger, not quite a baby, but I was a little bit older, like in middle school, and I would make the AB honor roll. At the end of the year, my reward was always going out to eat. I got to pick my favorite restaurant, and we would go out to eat to celebrate that. So it's not just when you're angry, mad, or sad, or frustrated. It's a good time too. It's when you're happy too. When you're happy, you eat. When you're stressed, you eat. When you're frustrated, you eat. When you're mad, you eat. Like, we just use food as a reward system. No matter if it's rewarding us for getting through a stressful day, or it's rewarding us for putting up with a bunch of BS, or overcoming and not getting upset or angry at someone, or rewarding ourselves as a pick-me-up when we feel sad, or just when we do well in life, we celebrate with food. Food is so embedded in our culture. If you're in the U.S., it's so embedded in our culture as the American culture, and then in the separate cultures too, whether you're like Italian or if you're African American, whatever, we use food to show love. So those are just some things that are on my mind. Why I think some people struggle with food addiction, because we've been so trained. We've trained our brain to search out for food as a reward for whatever that we're going through. And you have to end up breaking that cycle. You have to start pulling back and using other things as reward systems or as positive coping mechanisms to help get you through this life. Because if you keep eating back, all you're going to do is just tear your body down and your health is just going to go in the toilet. So a third way to help you overcome your food addiction is to keep a food journal. Along with journaling in general, your feelings out, also keep a food journal to let you know, hey, I ate this cheeseburger and this fries when I was stressed out after work. And then you'll start to see some of the patterns of the things that you are eating. And that'll give you information of what to do in those situations. Again, if you want to use exercise to cope, running to God, or whatever other healthy coping mechanism, journaling in itself is very therapeutic. You can clean. I used to like to clean when I was a teenager and in my early 20s when I was stressed out or angry. I used to love cleaning up. And sometimes it wasn't even like, oh, let me just go clean. I would just get up and just start doing it. And that was a huge stress reliever for me. A fourth way is to make healthy swaps. So like one of the girls said, she was eating at McDonald's all the time, and then she kind of weaned herself off of that, and she started to make food at home. So she'll start making turkey burgers, using turkey instead of beef, using lettuce as her buns instead of using bread. So you can make a lot of healthy swaps that way. If you're gonna eat, like candy, like I used to love Skittles, I would start making a fruit salad, and then I would squeeze some lime juice on top of that. I have some shorts that y'all can check out too if y'all are interested in just looking at my healthy recipes. They're kind of down. You'll have to scroll down a little bit more because that's kind of sort of what I started with. But your girl ran out of money, so I just started talking to y'all and doing like chit chats in the car and stuff like that. But they're still there. So you can look at some of the healthy recipes that I have done. And it's made a tremendous positive impact on my life. And that has helped me pull my weight down. Because of course, processed sugar isn't good for you. But if your body is still craving sugar or something sweet, you can swap out processed sugar for healthy sugar, which is a lot better for you in the long run. So yeah, so that's pretty much all I wanted to say today. Drop down in the comment section and let me know if you have a food addiction or if you've had one. What are you doing to solve the issue? What have you done? Do you have any other additional tips and tricks for me that I didn't go over in the video? Are you going to take some of these tips and tricks and apply it to your own life? Again, this is a safe space, so I want you guys to talk to me and talk to one another. And as this channel grows, I know that the comments will come. But while I'm available and the channel's still small and I'm able to talk to y'all, I really want to be able to develop a relationship with y'all, because I do want to help people. I have walked this walk and I can give you guys some advice on what you can do. And you guys can give me some advice on maybe something that I have never thought of. It's a community that I want to build, an optimistic community that I want to build. Again, it's a safe space. If y'all see somebody in the comment section acting the fool or whatever, just alert me, let me know. I'll be keeping a check as well. And we'll get them out of here. So don't be shy. Don't be ashamed. There's no judgment here. This is a judgment-free zone when it comes to being overweight, obese, and just dealing with all the things that comes along on that journey, okay? So until next time, I love you guys, and just know that you're so amazing and continue to vibe high.